Welcome back to season 2 of Modern Tech and Transformation. Just like we started off season 1, we have one of my favorite guests, Michael Brown, with us today. Welcome
Oh,
back,
thank
Michael.
you. That's good to be here.
So, something you've heard me say before is AI will not take people's jobs, but it will be people that do not adapt
Mm.
to AI that will be at risk of losing their jobs. So, we're going to talk about upskilling for a modern world today. And Michael works with a plethora of tech talent. And I want to talk about what's going to be needed to survive in this AI renaissance that we're going through skill wise.
Yeah, I think first thing we have to acknowledge is, and I said this, I think, in our first conversation or something like it. We have to ground ourselves and realize that the speed at which AI is progressing and the speed at which it's advancing is accelerating, right? It's not slowing down, it's getting faster, getting faster. It is already so fast that it's hard to keep up with it on a daily and weekly basis. It is way faster than industry and business is able to even adopt, right? And so there's this lagging thing that gives us this idea that it's not changing that fast. And what I have to tell you is that it's changing so fast and is so mind-blowing amazing on a daily basis that it is going to, like, over the next 5 years, it's going to fundamentally transform how we work. And I really think that in order to continue to be status quo, how we operate, it's going to require, we're going to start focusing more on human interaction. We're gonna, we've gone through this phase of like, the technology's in the way. We're just focused on the technology, and now we're going to be focusing on the human interaction because
Soft skills.
yeah, soft skills, domain knowledge, understanding the manufacturing or the financial or the healthcare domain that you're in, understanding those skills and ideals and systems and frameworks is more important than the technology, because I truly believe that the technology is going to start shrinking in its in its appearance. You're going to be able to tell the computer what you want, and it will start doing it. Right now, it's kind of clunky and it kind of still takes a technical person, but it's going to get better, and it's going to get better fast. Um, I was kind of blown away this week watching, reading some of the papers about Google's DeepMind team, the people who made AlphaGo, and they came out with a couple of models. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like alpha geometry and alpha proof, something like that. Super nerdy. Like, it's super nerdy but one of the biggest problems with large language models like ChatGPT is that they can't reason well, right? They're doing things to make it look like it's reasoning, but it's not really truly reasoning. And Google brought out a platform and the way that they tested it is they tested it against the Mathematic Olympiad, that is the top mathematics competition in the world. And they they put their models up against it, and it came in with a silver medal its very first try, which means that it solved the problems. And then, which was the most interesting part, not that it solved a mathematics problem, but it then created a proof to prove that its solution was accurate, which is a completely non-linear thing, right? You have to have creativity, and you have to think through things to create proofs to mathematical problems. And so they built models that do this. Like, this is now a real thing that happened this week. And I thought to myself that this is now, these models will, from here on out, we're going to start looking at how these models can reason. It thinks for them, or it reasons for itself solutions. And so now it's not going to be just clever words and clever pictures. It's going to have clever deductions on the data that you give it. And as that gets more and more in line with what we use every day, it's going to change.
So, at a growing company like Resolve Tech
Hmm.
Solutions, where we pride ourselves in being at the forefront of having some of the best talent
Yeah.
in the industry, what would you say? There's a stat I want to throw in here: 54% of people, according to the World Economic Forum, are going to have to significantly upskill in IT. So, what does that look like when you're trying to hire? What skills are you going to be looking for to make sure that Resolve Tech Solutions stays ahead of the competition when it comes to our consulting solutions?
It, it's interesting. I'm hiring. Hey, by the way, if you're a solution architect, um, yeah, I'm hiring right now. And what's interesting about that is that whereas, um, I want technical skill. I'm looking for technical skill. I'm not super concerned about it. So if I find the right person that has, um, the number one has a just an outstanding attitude, right? Is curious, wants to learn, right? Those are some fundamental things. Like they're then I start looking for emotional intelligence, right? Not only are you good technically, but do you have emotional intelligence, and do you understand the types of customers that we're working with? So I ask a lot of questions around the types of customers that they've worked with before, the types of deals that they do, what was their input into that? Did they understand how do they learn about the customer? I want to understand their process about how
Mm.
they adopt the customer. So it's a lot of soft skills that really push somebody over the edge, because when you get to a certain level of technical astuteness, it's really the soft skills that change, and your domain skills that push you over the edge.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, you don't think technologists need to continue to get certificate after certificate? Would you send a technologist to Toastmasters before you tell them to get another certificate?
Look, if what I would say is that if you've reached a certain level of technical ability, right, you've got some experience and you've done some things, like I think you have to prove yourself to a certain extent. But once you get to that certain extent, with the technology that's available right now, with the large language models that we have, with the ability, um, like you're going to be able to accelerate yourself. If you're already curious and you're already, have a great attitude, those technologies are going to help you cover any gaps that you have, as long as you've got those attitude and you've got those technologies. So yeah, learning how to speak in front of somebody, learning how to present yourself well, learning how to articulate your ideals and the solutions are going to be super beneficial versus grabbing that next cert.
So, soft skills are at the top of what people should upskill themselves on. Are there any technical skills that you're like, hey, if you don't have this, you're going to be at a deficit?
Yeah, I mean, understanding the fundamentals of machine learning. I think it's going to get more and more obscured as the models get better and better, and the solution capabilities get better and better. But right now, so like I said, we're in this gap, right? Machine learning and AI is getting so far ahead. Industry is still in 2024, and people are still talking about chatbots, and people are still talking about, oh, look at the cool way I can circle a thing on my phone and it does a search algorithm. Those are really cool, but we still have to help industry adopt all of this cool capability. And so, yeah, I mean, understanding your technology as it is today and helping customers to adopt that technology, because companies can only absorb a certain amount of technology
Mhm.
at a rate, right? There's a rate that they can absorb it, and past that, they can't do it any faster. And so we're going to have an opportunity for the next several years. Um, and I don't know how long that is. Like I don't know what the future holds at this point. It's already blown my mind in 2 years. Um, but we have an opportunity to help customers and clients and businesses adopt this technology. There's a huge amount of work around data, because here's the other fun thing, and I think the models will help us do this. But all of the data that companies have sitting in their ERPs, sitting in their finance systems, sitting in their different application stacks, sitting in their customer data, that data is not ready yet to be used in these models, and so we have to do something to it. That skill set, so data and analytics, databases, those types of things are core capabilities that we still definitely need, right? And what we're looking for every day.
Are there certain databases that you think are going to perform better than others as companies move into the AI revolution?
I think that's going to change a lot. I mean, obviously, you've got the core players, right? You've got Microsoft, and you've got Oracle, and you've got IBM, but then you've got a lot of the new databases, right? For because one of the things that we need for the language models today, I don't know, and I think I think there's going to be opportunity for that to change, but we have to take like if we want to search our own data, like our own PDFs and our own Word documents and our own PowerPoints and Excel spreadsheets. Like if we want to do that, we have to put that into a vector database. And so that's a new skill set that's coming aboard. Is so we have to figure out, how to run those databases at scale, because we don't want all of our data sitting in public cloud with public cloud algorithms talking to it. Right? We want to have that privatized. And so, understanding those architectures and technologies is also a super useful technical skill set that is still extremely valid, right? Again, it is going to change. We do have to think about it, and we can start working on that skilling now. But right now, today, we still got some hardcore technical issues that we've got to solve.
So, as we wrap up, any other skills you can think of, advice for the next generation or those that just are trying to hang on to their jobs?
I was going to say welding, but you said I couldn't say that.
I mean, trust me, I'm like, should I become a hairstylist
That's right.
or something?
No.
Do I want to stand on my feet that long? Those are the things that start going through my head. What things can AI not replace? But they also say digital marketing is still trending, so I'm going to just roll with that as long as I can.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really think, I really think it's about adaptation. Until they start building armies of robots that replace us physically, people still want to talk to people. It's still highly relationship driven, which is why your emotional intelligence and your soft skills are super important. And but I really believe like if you're looking at technology and you want to go into technology, definitely do it. Like definitely do it. There's zero risk in wanting to go into technology because it's just going to be you just have to adapt to what you wanna do. But what's really important is what industry and domain are you interested in? Is it do you want to be in healthcare or medicine or pharmaceuticals or industry and in what industry? Having that domain knowledge, the models will just help accelerate your capability versus coming in and going, I'm just going to learn like Cisco or Microsoft or SQL Server. Those are, I think, those are going to be the ones, the skill sets that get demoted the fastest. Is if I'm just focused on a single thing, and I've possibly been doing it for 15, 20 years. It's been great. I think those types of things are going to get diminished because you're going to be able to take a generalist who has domain knowledge in an industry, and they're going to be able to operate across all of these things with the tool sets of language models.
That is interesting and exciting.
Yeah. It is.
If you're a business user, it's really exciting for you. It makes everything so much more accessible.
It does. Yeah. I did a project, personally. So I'm interviewing a lot of candidates and I'm talking to a lot of people. And so, we record the conversations, like we hit the record button and, we're recording in whatever Zoom or Teams. So I take that recording, run it through Azure Transcribe, get the text from the conversation, and I drop that into a large language model. And inside that language model, I have the candidate's resume, I have the job role document, I have the job description that we put online, and I have the transcript of the conversation. And I put all of those together and I tell it, this is what I'm looking for. Here's my prompt engineering. That's another thing that you definitely want to understand. So I give it my prompt and say, this is the resource. This is what I'm looking for. Here's the resources. Here's the capabilities. And now I can ask this model that knows everything that I want, which candidates match the most, which ones don't match, why don't they match, and I can have a conversation with this model about the candidates, and it's super helpful to distill down the what's and the whys because you have intuition.
Mm-hmm.
You have intuition about things, but being able to put data to it
with no bias,
with the models, it's been super helpful.
You built an HR solution right there.
Yeah, and it was 45 minutes in an afternoon using Power Apps, right? It wasn't something that somebody couldn't do. The pattern was already there. I
Mhm.
just kind of iterated through it, and I needed to. What was hysterical is I got to a point and got it transcribed. And I was like, okay, that's not the format I was looking for because it's this JSON format.
Mhm.
It's complicated, it's technical. I was looking at it. I didn't really know what the format was called. I copied and pasted a portion of it into ChatGPT and said, how do I turn this into speaker text? And it goes, try this. Third iteration, it was done.
I mean, you're giving me a new solution for Resolve Tech to market. That's
Yes,
what you're doing right now with this.
yes. And what it is, what was interesting is what got me to do it is I was like, I love getting on the phone and getting on a meeting with clients or with prospects, and all these armies of bots start joining. These notes takers, and I said, I want to be able to do that, but I don't want to have to pay to do that because what's hysterical is if I do it just with the direct service, it's pennies. It's literally 16 cents to be able to do a meeting versus $99 a month or something like that. So I can do all my meetings all month long for $7.
So cost savings,
Yep.
cost optimization,
Yep.
AI driven recruiting and HR.
Yeah. And just 2
You
years
do it
ago,
all.
well, just 2 years ago, what I just did in an afternoon 2 years ago would have been unthinkable.
Mhm.
Right? And so that's how fast it's moving. In just 2 years since the beginning of LLMs, I'm now able to do this in just an afternoon. It was super quick. And so that's the kind of acceleration and the kind of thing that's going to be it just easier and easier.
And do you think so? I know you tinker a lot with the new AI tools and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to be essential for upskilling?
Well, yeah. I mean, think about just having conversations with people. It's like, what did they say? Who was on that call? Those types of things. Like, I think it's going to be fairly ubiquitous at this point to be able to take your work conversations and be able to start asking questions about it. Note taking will be a secondary thing. Like you still want to take notes because
Mhm.
there's a mind hand thing that's super important. But being able to go back and ask questions about what was said and um, and pull that in and help to build proposals out of it, help to build scopes of work out of it, help to make sure you're capturing requirements. All those types of things become like I see just a mountain of possibilities with it.
It's exciting. I
Yeah.
think it's exciting. I know it can be very scary to people when they hear that they need to upskill and jobs might be replaced, but embrace AI.
Yes.
I guess that's our message.
Yes.
And if you don't know how, work with us to embrace it.
Yes. Will help.
Yeah. But thank you, Michael, for being
No.
on today.
Yeah.
And
Been great.
this will be a face you see a lot this season. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. See y'all.